Hello everyone, I'm Jill Bulstridge, founding artistic director of Triple Promise Academy for the Performing Arts, and I'm reporting to you today from my fabulous kitchen in Bay Ridge with towels hanging up to dry for your visual delight and entertainment. Today we're going to be talking about audition tips and techniques for younger actors, ages 7 to 11 and 4 to 6. These are students who are preparing for their first, second, third, or maybe fourth audition. If you notice, most of the audition tips and techniques videos in this series are geared toward older students, ages 12 to 18 or grades 7 through 12. So these next few videos are going to be geared specifically toward the younger crowd, particularly my students who are about to audition for Willy Wonka Jr. But my hope is that the advice in this video will apply to any child anywhere who's preparing an audition. And I hope that you will enjoy it. If you do, please subscribe, share our links. You know what to do. And let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about building your performance and having a sense of discovery. So these are two really important things, and I strongly recommend that you master your poise before you do this video, before you watch this video or start working on these techniques. So if you haven't watched our Key to Perfect Poise video, it is the most recent video right above this one. So go back and watch that one first before you watch this one. So what do I mean when I say sense of build? What do I mean when I say sense of discovery? Well, these are really important techniques that involve combining your acting with your singing. One of the most common mistakes I see in young actors, particularly young actors who have really good singing voices, is that they often come into the audition resting on that good singing voice and they forget to act. So they come into the audition and they sing really beautifully, but their face is just kind of blank, or maybe they're just smiling, which isn't really dramatically interesting. So for example, they come in and they sing, for example, if they were singing this song, they might sing, "I want a feast, I want a bean feast, cream buns and donuts and fruitcake with no nuts, so good you could go nuts, give it to me now." Now you might look at that and think, oh, that wasn't a bad audition. She was smiling and she sang the right notes and that was okay. But really, that is not a very interesting audition from a directorial standpoint. So you have to remember that musical theater is not just singing. It's singing, dancing, and acting all combined. That's where the phrase triple threat comes from. It means you're so good you're a threat at all three things. Acting, singing, and dancing. And that's where the name of our company comes from, Triple Promise. We are not a threat, we're a promise. I named it that because I believe that all of you have so much promise to be amazing singers, dancers, and actors. But those three things are not happening as separate entities. The singing, the dancing, and the acting all have to happen at the same time. That said, you do not have to dance in your preliminary audition. 99% of the time, the director and choreographer will call you back and teach you a combination, or they might even ask you to prepare a combination in advance for the audition. But for your preliminary audition where you're singing, you do not have to dance, but you do have to act. I would strongly recommend not adding choreography to any of your preliminary audition, just because it can be distracting and take away from the acting and the singing, especially if that's not the choreography that they're going to want you to do in the show anyway. So just focus on the singing and the acting in the preliminary auditioning. In preliminary audition, dancing is an equally important component of musical theater, but just not in the preliminary audition. So like I said, a lot of times people come in and they just sing and smile, or they just sing with a blank face, or they just sing while fidgeting. Check out my other video about fidgeting. You want to make sure that when you are singing your song, you are telling a story and you are embodying a character. I cannot stress the importance of this enough. Who is this person? What do they want? Why are they saying this? What are they going to do to get that thing that they want, right? So want is a really important word in acting, but it's even more important for this particular character. Her name is Veruca Salt, and she wants everything. She's a spoiled brat, right? So you really have to delve into the character. Who is she? Why is she a spoiled brat? How did she become this way? How does she feel about herself? How does she feel about other people? So you want to think about all those things as you start to build the character. But for the purposes of the preliminary audition, I'm just going to focus on those lyrics. So the first thing she says right out of the gate is, "I want a feast." And then she says, "I want a bean feast." Now, anytime an actor has the same line or a very similar line 2 times in a row, there's a reason why they're saying it twice, right? So if they're saying it twice, you can't say it the same way both times. I want a feast, I want a bean feast. You have to differentiate, and to differentiate, you're going to build. What I mean when I say build is you're going to turn up the urgency. So I want a feast, I want a bean feast. She really emphasizes that. Now, make sure that you know every single word that you're saying. Does anybody out there know what a bean feast is? If you do, write it in the comments below before you listen to my next line. If you don't know what a bean feast is, that's okay, but this is a very important lesson. Anytime you're doing an audition or any type of acting, if there is a word or a phrase in the script or the lyrics that you do not know or do not understand, it is your responsibility as the actor to either look it up or ask somebody who does know. Ask an adult, ask your teacher, ask your director. What is a bean feast? You should never, ever, ever go on stage saying something that you don't know the meaning of. Because if you don't know what it means, how do you know if you're acting the right way for that line? So a bean feast is a phrase that's used in the United Kingdom, particularly around the time period that this show takes place, which was around the 50s. And a bean feast was a party that employers would give to employees. So the owners of companies would throw bean feasts for their employees to congratulate them on a job well done. Oftentimes these parties were held around Christmas time or bonus time, and it was a thank you. And these feasts had lots and lots and lots of sweets. They had cakes and cinnamon rolls and ice cream and every kind of cookie and candy and pastry you could imagine. So how does Veruca know about bean feasts? She's never had a job. She's only 10 years old. Well, her father owns a big company. So Veruca has seen her father throw these bean feasts for his employees in the past, and she's probably even attended those bean feasts. So now she's saying she wants a feast, but not just any feast. She wants a bean feast, and she wants it thrown in her honor. Forget the employees. Who cares about them? She wants this bean feast for herself. So if you go to a regular feast, you probably would see things like turkey and potatoes and vegetables and corn and bread and butter and dinner rolls and that sort of stuff, with maybe like some sweets, like maybe some pie or cake at the end. But a bean feast is just tons and tons and tons and tons of sweets. So she makes it very clear that she doesn't just want any feast, she wants a bean feast. So you have to increase the emphasis and you have to increase the urgency. And I always recommend doing your song as a monologue first and then singing it and acting simultaneously, because that's really going to help you build the acting. So don't even worry about the notes right now. Just think about telling the story. So she's going to say, I want a feast. I want a bean feast. And you have to give her a sense of discovery there. What do I mean by a sense of discovery? I mean, you want the audience to see you getting the idea. Does that make sense? So she says, I want a feast. No, wait, I don't just want any feast. I want a bean feast. But you don't get to say those words in the middle. You have to show them. So you don't get to add any words or lyrics. But what she's saying in there is, wait, I don't want any old feast. I want a bean feast. So you have to show that she's thinking that without saying the words. So that's where your acting comes in. You have to show it without saying it. Show, don't tell. So you say, I want a feast. I want a bean feast. Do you see how you can see me getting the idea there? That's really, really important because it has a sense of discovery and it helps you build the urgency of the song. Now, the next thing she says after she specifies that she wants a bean feast, she talks about the things that she wants at this bean feast. And she gives a very specific list. She says cream buns and donuts and fruit cake with no nuts. So anytime you have a list in theater, this is so important. You cannot just make a list. You have to make every single thing on that list have differentiation and purpose. So it's never apples, bananas, and pears. It's apples, bananas, and pears. It's never lions and tigers and bears. It's always lions and tigers and bears, oh my! So when you need to do the same thing when you're building this list. So you can't just go, cream buns and donuts and fruitcake with no nuts, so good you could go nuts, right? The notes actually escalate, which helps you because you can drive the urgency as you start to sing higher. But again, don't worry about the notes right now. Just worry about the words. So she says, cream buns and donuts and fruitcake with no nuts. Right? That's a good opportunity to take it down a little bit because she's like, ugh, nuts? No. I don't want any protein. I don't want anything healthy in there. I want it all to be sugar sweets. So she says cream buns. And you want to actually pretend that you can see the cream buns. You can visualize them in your mind. Put the cream buns somewhere. They're there. Where are the donuts? They're over there. And you want to imagine that you can see them and show the audience that you can see them. Cream buns and donuts and fruitcake with no nuts. So good you could go nuts. And that's a really good line to build urgency, because she's not just saying it's good. She's saying it's so good you could go nuts. So show yourself going nuts. Cream buns and donuts and fruitcake with no nuts. So good you could go nuts. And then she makes a demand. Give it to me. And then she doesn't just say give it to me. She says now. So that has to build urgency too. It can't just be give it to me now. It's got to be give it to me now. And really drive that urgency. Every time she gives a command, she follows it up with a louder, barkier, stronger command. I want a feast. I want a bean feast. I want these 3 things at it. I want it, and I want it now. It can't just be I want a feast. I want a bean feast. I want these 3 things. Give them to me. I want it now. Right? That's not fun. That's not interesting. That's not compelling. That's not how the character would act. She wants a feast. She wants a specific kind of feast. She wants these 3 things at it, and she wants it, and she wants it now. It's got to build. You have to build the urgency of the song. And once you've done that really well as a monologue, now it's time to try to take that acting and put it into the song. So you're going to do the same exact thing. So you're going to say, I want to feast. I want a bean feast. Cream buns and donuts and fruitcake with no nuts. So good you could go nuts. Give it to me now. And then she goes on to talk about what kind of party she wants. She says, I want a party with roomfuls of laughter, 10,000 tons of ice cream. And that sounds like a really fun thing. So again, use your acting to show what you want. She wants a room full of laughter. So you're going to picture all your friends laughing and having a wonderful time in your honor. And then you're going to picture 10,000 tons of ice cream, which you're going to build to. But then she makes a threat. She says, if I don't get the things that I'm after, I'm going to scream. And that's a really, really fun moment, and it's an opportunity for you to show your acting skills. And what you want to do on that is a technique called juxtaposition. Juxtaposition means you're showing polar opposites. If you watched Kunka Bunka, or if you're a part of Kunka Bunka, which was our spring show, you would know that there's a part in the play where Princess Persephone, who's known as Proudeska, says, it's me, Princess P. Soft-spoken, loud, and that's really funny because she's saying one thing and doing another, and that creates comedy. It's a technique called unexpected outcomes or juxtaposition. So you can do the same exact thing with this. You could get Veruca to act so sweet. I just want a room full of laughter, and I want to share my ice cream with everybody. And if I don't get those things, you'd better watch out. That's what you're saying here. So take it as sweet as you can be, and then get mad at the very end. Not mad, but threatening, menacing. So first, picture your room full of laughter. I want a party with roomfuls of laughter. Oh, isn't that nice? 10,000 tons of ice cream. I'm just going to share it with everybody. But remember, you can't add the words. And if I don't get the things I'm after, I'm going to scream. Right? Now you have that. You have that motivation. Now you can put it into a song. I want a party with roomfuls of laughter, 10,000 tons of ice cream. And if I don't get the things I am after, I'm going to scream. And the bigger you can do that, the better. There's no such thing as too big on that last note. Go big or go home. Chew the scenery. Make it as big as you can. I'm going to scream. You really want to throw a tantrum on that, right? Because the more of a tantrum that you can throw, the funnier it's going to be for the audience. But the tantrum is even funnier if you act sweet and innocent right before you throw that tantrum, right? And if I don't get the things I am after, I'm going to scream. Right? So play with it. Have fun with it. You can really chew the scenery and make this big and make that scream your own. Be creative. Find a funny way to do it. Find a crazy pose to strike. Fall on the floor. Throw a tantrum. Do something that makes you stand out. But most importantly, make sure you build. Make sure you have a sense of discovery. Make sure you have urgency and differentiation. Nobody wants to see a Johnny One Note on the stage. So if you don't know who Johnny One Note is, Johnny One Note is a character in a song from a very famous Broadway musical called Babes in Arms. And the song goes like this. Johnny could only sing one note, and the note he sang was this. Ah. Is that a good song? No. Nobody would want to go listen to a song that just has one note in it. Oh, I'm already doing two notes. I already got bored. You can't go to a show that has one note. That is going to get so boring so fast. It's the same thing when you're acting. You don't want to do one acting note. You want to do lots of different notes. Show all the colors of your personality. You can go from super sweet and nice to a terrible rotten brat. You can go from terrified to threatening and menacing. You can go from really excited to so sad and disappointed. You can just show all the colors of your personality. That's so, so, so important that you have differentiation, versatility, and an ability to build. I hope this advice is helpful. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below. Or if there's anything else you'd like acting tips and techniques, advice about, feel free to shoot me an email or comment in the video below and I will make a video about it. I have been directing for 21 years. I've been directing children's theater specifically for 21 years. I have directed hundreds and hundreds of shows featuring tens of thousands of children from all over the United States, including New York, Boston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Honolulu, and many, many more. So if you are interested in more tips or techniques from me, just let me know what topic you're interested in, and I will be happy to make a video about it. Be sure to subscribe and tell your friends, and I hope this is helpful. When you get out to those audition rooms, shake the nerves out, don't apologize, take a deep breath, and break those legs.